You don't act like a regular black person.
What do you mean you don't speak Spanish?
Your afro looks like a hat.
What are you anyway? So what part of Mexico are you from?
The statements you just heard were examples of microaggressions experienced by students of color on our campus. Simply put, a microaggression is a subtle but derogatory or offensive statement made against a person who is a member of a marginalized group. UCLA educators conducted a study on 60 community colleges, and what they found was that a third of the microaggressions committed were committed by instructors. Microaggressions are usually unintentional, but that does not take away from the hurt or the damage that it does to the person who is on the receiving end. Microaggressions against students of color, particularly in predominantly white institutions, increase systematic oppression and exclusion. Just like there are students who know that they are experiencing microaggressions, there are students who do not know. Why? Because they are common. They're the questions and statements that we hear on a regular basis. A common microaggression that some students have experienced, including myself, is the instructor looking at the only black student in class when President Obama or some other black person is mentioned. Then you have the student that has a difficult name, and instead of the professor attempting to say their name correctly each and every time, they give them a nickname without asking. Then you have the Asian student where the instructor asks, "Where are you really from?" when they were born here. It is important to see people who look like you when you are trying to obtain certain goals and dreams in life. And this is especially true when it comes to education. "I don't see color" is a statement that I've heard many times on campus as well as off campus, and we get it. You're saying that everyone deserves the same opportunities, the same chances. Everyone should be treated the same. That's great, but it doesn't always happen this way. And saying "I don't see color" is saying that you don't see the inequality, you don't see the challenges that some students face. It's saying that you don't see the need for change. It's saying that you don't see that it was just last semester that 2 students of color had their photos added to the graduates that lined the hallway, because before then, there were none. But you wouldn't have noticed any of this if you don't see color. The effects of experiencing a microaggression can be very damaging. First, you're in some type of shock mode because you're trying to figure out if you actually heard what you thought you heard. Then you're trying to figure out the person's intent. Because remember, microaggressions tend to come from well-meaning persons. So you're wondering, did I say something that made them say this to me? Did I do something that they are responding this way? Or is it that the person just simply doesn't like me? This processing goes on in your mind over and over again. And I can tell you personally that it is mentally exhausting. For some, it creates imposter syndrome, which is a feeling of insecurity or feeling as if you're undeserving of being where you are. because you have been indirectly told you don't belong here. One student felt as if she did not belong here, and she didn't return. When she was asked why she didn't return, she said, "It's too hard to be black here." So I asked what that meant. She said it meant her roommate offering her a piece of chicken and saying, "But I'm sure you can cook this better than I can." It meant hearing statements like, "You're a pretty black girl," as if black girls aren't usually pretty. It meant being underestimated, not taken seriously, and being told that you're overreacting if you complain about something. So then, I asked some other students what that meant to them. One student said it meant campus safety, standing at the top of the stairs where a lot of the students of color sit, but not standing in the student lounge. Another student said it meant jokes about Mexican food. A Muslim student said that it meant someone saying to her that her hijab may make people uncomfortable if she goes on a class trip. For me personally, it meant someone saying, "Be careful how you say things, or you may come across as being black and angry." I can't help being black, but do I have a reason to be angry? Alana is coming up on its 3rd year of existence on this campus. And the acronyms stand for African American, Latino, Asian, and Native American. And Alana is on other college campuses. It's not something that we simply made up. During one of our meetings, a member said that a faculty or staff person came up to her and said, "Alana is not for everyone. Everyone doesn't feel welcome at Alana events. Alana events are only for the students of color." Well, that's not true. But because of this, for an entire meeting, we tried to come up with a way to make sure that everyone felt welcome at our events. But no other club or organization on the campus has to do this. If they have events, it is implied that everyone is welcome without question. The same should go for Alana events. Everyone is welcome without question. I won't tell you what you can do to make things better or how you can stop microaggressions from happening. Our next speaker, Dr. Summers, will get into that with you. But I would ask one thing of you. If a student comes to you and says that they have experienced a microaggression from another student, a faculty, or a staff member, speak only for yourself. Try not to say things like, "I'm sure they didn't mean it that way." What that statement says is that you are more concerned with how they view that person, and probably now how you view that person, than the fact that something that someone said hurt their feelings. A better response might be, "I'm sorry you experienced this," or "I'm sorry this made you feel this way." And of course, you have to also keep in mind that it is the impact of what someone says that hurts, not their intent. And there may be people who feel that this whole talk of microaggressions is a bunch of nonsense. That's easy to say when you have one set of students on campus